All right, good.
Here we go. All right, welcome, Chiro United Podcast, February 15th, 2016. I think we're actually going a few weeks in a row right here.
I know, it's a record.
It is. I'm Fred DiDomenico, lead coaching, Joe Farantelli of Posture Co. And tonight, we have the trio in the Italian faction, Patrick Gentempo. Thank you very much. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, welcome, Pat.
Well, thank you. And as we were just saying, if you want to, to watch this, you have to be a member of the club, I think. So if your name doesn't end in a vowel, I don't know if any of this is going to make sense to you.
Or next time we talk to you, you have to make your name end in a vowel.
That's right. You can always just add an I or an O to the end, whatever you
there you go.
It could be like, Smithy O instead of Smith.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's all good. So, hey, man, great to have you on here. We've had you on here before. You're a great leader in the profession. You've done many brilliant things, made a huge impact, really in and out of the profession. So, you got that fire that burns. It never stops. I think even did you cross 50 yet? How old are you?
I've crossed that several years ago. I'm 56.
Oh, geez, look at you, man. Italian skin, right?
That's it. That's the chiropractic stuff doing its work.
That's right. See, what a great combination.
Yeah.
56. So I did have a story to that. But over the years, you've done great things. And we're just honored to have you on here. So what we kind of want to start with, everybody wants to know the man behind the mission. Oh, I know. I was saying, hey, at 56, I think your fire is even burning hotter now. The passion burns greater every year.
There's no question. It's kind of interesting in the experience, actually, is that, if I were like when I was starting as a chiropractor in my early 20s, I would have thought 56 is like old, and I'm like, I feel like in many ways I'm just getting started. I mean, I've done a lot over the past 30 years, but I just feel like now it's time to really take massive leverage and move it forward. So what's the implication? What that means is that if you're a chiropractor and you've been out there for a while, don't think that you can't transform. Don't think that you can't absolutely upgrade and transform your entire game. But you have to be young in heart, young in mind. You have to be willing to learn. You got to be fresh, willing to be coached. Willing to try new things. I had people come in my one of my programs, Philosophy Formula, recently. Guy in practice 43 years, and I'm like, and in Total Solution, when we were running Total Solution, I had a guy not 63 years old. 63 years in practice.
Wow.
I remember he was in his 80s, and I got on the phone with him, and I said to the guy, he was down in Georgia, not Savannah, but somewhere around there. And I remember I said to him, now, how long have you been practicing? He said, this is my 63rd year. And I said, and you want to go to a 4-day intensive boot camp in the mountains of Colorado and get new technology for your practice? I said, how many more years do you think you're going to practice? And he said, I don't know, maybe another 10 or 12.
So awesome.
I was like, he was my hero. And when it got to, up there on the mountain and this guy shows up and he's trim, he's energetic, he's got that sparkle in his eyes like all those old time chiropractors do. And so often, like as I'm teaching things and people are having kind of like epiphanies in the room, they're saying they don't get that. So it was just really interesting. So I think, for the younger chiropractors, something to look forward to in the sense of saying the chiropractic career can be very, very extensive. The average person dies 5 years after retirement. So, to retire is to put out a service. Who wants to do that? So you have a lot to look forward to, for years and years and years. There's a lot of ways you can do it. Doesn't mean you have to work, really, really hard all those years, but you can create something that can be ongoing or everlasting, enduring for, an enterprise that keeps going and having impact in the community. And then secondly, for the people, like I said, who've been out there for a while, just take care of yourself, right? Stay energetic. I feel as empowered, or more empowered now than I did, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm excited to be doing this for another 40 or 50 years.
Yeah, we are. Well, and you made some great points because like after all these years, it's 30 some odd years later and the fire burns hotter because you always have something new. You know what I mean? I mean, the principle never changes, but the way you affect the profession always advances. And that's really, I think, what keeps you young. Of course, we need to take care of our body. I belong to Genius Network, and Joe Polish the other day, about a month ago, said, you know, there's a famous quote that if you had $1 million racehorse, what would you feed it? You know, how would you treat it?
Right.
And then that you are the $1 million racehorse.
Right.
So take care of yourself, because you don't know what purpose is going to hit you 25 years from now, 30 years from now. And you have to take care of yourself, and that keeps that fire burning.
You do have to take care of yourself. It's a good quote, and I know Joseph say hello next time. Good, great guy. And you know, I think the consideration is how you are in your spirit. See, when you're on purpose, that's what drives everything. That's the fuel. It's rocket fuel, and it's limitless. It's like you don't run out of energy. Doesn't mean I don't get tired. Sometimes doesn't mean I don't get bogged down in details and stuff that, you know, can make you tired. I'm getting ready to leave tomorrow for a 10-day trip to Australia. We're doing a speaking tour down there in 3 cities. You know, I'll get back, you know, I'll be jet lagged, what have you. But I could be dead tired. But if I'm getting up on a platform, if I'm having to work on a concept or an idea, and it suddenly snaps me right out of it. Like energy flows from somewhere else when you're on your purpose that just drives you and burns bright. And when you're off purpose, that's when you start to find that you're tired all the time. You start thinking about retiring. You start thinking about all that other stuff. So it's really a matter of recognizing your purpose, which emerges from your philosophy. And then if you live in that purpose, you'll stay young in every possible way, and you'll have a great life.
Well, you become a channel.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it feels like you're channeling.
Yeah. Hey, before we get too far in, Fred, why don't we, for the youngins out there that probably don't know Patrick's history, why don't we do just a little elevator speech on how you got here?
Yeah, how do you get chiropractic?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was, an athlete in my youth. I was a 2-time national AAU karate champion and 5-time New Jersey state champion. My body got banged up, but it was senior year in high school when I was wrestling that I had an injury in my neck. In practice, I bridged up on my neck with a much heavier guy on me, and it just, subluxated. And I was like, I didn't know what it was at the time, but I really almost couldn't get off the mat. They bring me to the medical doctor. He said, "What's wrong?" I got pain. I got, muscle spasm. I get, it feels like something's swollen in there. So he does this very thorough exam, and he says, "You've got cervicalgia, myospasm, and inflammation." I said, "What's that?" He said, "Neck pain, muscle spasm, and swelling." I said, "Well, I told you that."
Yeah, right.
Said, "Yeah, but here's what we're going to do. For the pain, we give you what? A painkiller. For the muscle spasms, we give you a muscle relaxer. For the inflammation, we give you anti-inflammatory." So I take these bottled pills. We get the prescription filled, go home, and I start taking the pills. And a week, 2 weeks later, I'm no better. I'm nauseous. I can't get back on the mat. Things aren't good. So my mother, who happened to be very alert, said, "We really should do something else." Brings me to the chiropractor. And I didn't even know chiropractor was a different, quote unquote, kind of a doctor, different approach. I thought it was just another kind of a medical type doctor. But I happened to go to a chiropractor who is a legend at DE, if you ever heard of DE. His name was Dick Santo. And I remember I laid down, I got there, did his exam, laid down, got my first adjustment, and I was like 90% better. I'm like, why didn't anybody else do this for me? And he's like, he started explaining the chiropractic story, and I went to a healthcare class. And I was like, my eyes were opening wider. Anyway, and I'm saying this part of the story for a reason. So I was seeing mostly the associate in the practice who, and incidentally, this practice saw about 150 visits a day. And I was always asking questions. So I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior in high school. And he said, "Well, why don't you sit and have lunch with me, and I'll explain the whole thing to you." So over a 45-minute lunch while he's eating a sandwich, brown bagging it, as he was his first year out of Palmer, he basically told me the whole story. And I was literally left there knowing that I wanted to be a chiropractor. So, and this is the whole thing. I walked into that office that day, on one path. I left on another path. And I'll never forget, because if you fast forward many years later, when I was running CLA, I started CLA. We were running it. We had 55 employees. Big reach around the world. Chiropractically speaking, 12,000 square foot office in a big glass tower. Nice offices. And that chiropractor from all those years ago, who didn't even remember me, which is, it's just another patient, that he did the normal thing with. I invited him, and as he's walking through, looking at what we're doing, the things are up on the walls, and I explained to him, I said, you probably don't, you don't remember the 45-minute conversation you had with a 17-year-old kid, 30 years ago, or however long it was, but I want you to see that seed that you planted, what it grew into. Thank you for taking the time.
That's so awesome.
And he literally, tears in his eyes. His son had since become a chiropractor also. And I remember his son was a little infant at the time when I was there. And it was a really amazing experience. So, and this is what being a chiropractor means when you have the spirit of it. This is what it means to look at, not just be a mechanist and go pound meat all day in your office as a technician, but to truly connect with the people when they come in and touch their souls whenever you have the opportunity in a vitalistic way. And what it can mean in the world, and how your legacy can be something much more than you might ever know, because as PJ said, you never know how far reaching something you may think, do, or say today can affect the lives of millions tomorrow. And I could say 45-minute conversation with that guy sent me into chiropractic school. CLA, as we developed our diagnostic technology for chiropractors and our training programs and everything that we evolved into, 9,000 chiropractic clients on 6 continents, representing millions of patients. And you start to see how far-reaching, those things can be. So I really beg all of you who are watching this, don't miss that. Mm-hmm. Don't get into the rut of routine where you lose the awe of what's in front of you every single day. And, I admire Einstein's quote, I'll paraphrase, that there's only 2 ways to go through life. One is as if everything is a miracle, and one is as if nothing is. And I choose everything is a miracle. It's just the way I see it.
Right, and everything has intention.
Yeah, intelligence. You could say, which is, and that's the intention that's expressed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's such an awesome story, man. I don't mean to distract from that, because that alone, we could end this podcast or video there, and it would be more than enough with that message. So you became a chiropractor, move on, obviously went through CLA.
So what happened was I got out of school, I got into practice. I practiced, in the 80s. I graduated in 83. I was a young kid. I was 23. And I took 6 months off just so I wouldn't graduate when I was 22, because I looked like I was about 15. And so I was 23 when I graduated. I started practice in the mid-1980s, around 86. And I was doing other things. I met Chris Kent doing a board review course. He was the most spectacular teacher I've ever seen. We ended up putting together a board review program of our own, and went out into the world with it, advanced chiropractic seminars. We did actually very well with it. We did state boards reviews where we started, then we did national board reviews. Then some strange things happened. All those things that are crises that turn out to be blessings. Tragedies that turn into blessings, at least for me. In 1986, I was hit by a truck when I was riding my bicycle in Manhattan. Laid me up for a while, and it got me rethinking what my whole purpose is, and kind of getting back into what I felt like where my focus should be. Chris had a stroke in February of 87, right after, freak thing. He was on all four limbs paralyzed on a respirator. And it was a chiropractor going into the hospital, giving him an upper cervical adjustment that turned him around. So it was, one of those, wow. So he felt like, I'm still alive. I guess I have a purpose left in this life. And I started to realize that maybe I was distracted by a few things, and wanted to get back focused into my practice and the things I was doing. So one day he walked into my practice with this little handheld EMG instrument, explained what it did. And I felt like my challenge in chiropractic is I was selling a product I wasn't sure I was delivering. I was very enthusiastic about the principles of chiropractic, understood subluxation, but everything we learned was orthopedic and neurological test, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, I would love to have had something to better quantify the impact I'm having on the nervous system of the patient. So I recognized that's what that thing did, and I in the mid '80s, computers, PCs were brand new. It was a very new thing. Not very many people had them. So I basically hired engineers and programmers and started to develop the technology. And little by little, we built it up into a 5 technology platform. We had it all over the world. And then I realized it's not the instrument that gets the result, but who it is using the instrument that gets the results. So we started creating training programs like Total Solution, purpose audio programs we started putting out. So we just started getting involved in the profession, because I realized pretty quickly when I started to get out there on a national, international level and really seeing how other chiropractors were thinking, how lost people were, and how the profession was confused. Its brand identity was confused. It was underperforming in a horrible way. And we decided that we were going to start building programs and products that could help to change all that. And that's what CLA ended up becoming. So we built CLA over, till, for 86 we started. And in 2011, I sold the company. Then took a little time down just to, if everybody's ever sold a fairly large company, it's 6 months of basically your hair on fire if I had any. And so anyway, you get through that, take a little downtime, reflect a little bit, and then get back to work. So we formed Action Potential Holdings, and now I don't want to really operate like I used to anymore. So I like to have operating partners. We're involved in about 8 different ventures right now. And there are different things that I see, especially in chiropractic, that are things that are challenges that require solutions. So we incubate new businesses. We invest in some things. I find operating partners to do it with. And, some things, just get traction and take off and do well. And some things, if they just feel like the market's not responding to them, we kill it and find the next thing to do.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously you have an entrepreneurial spirit. That's obvious. Entrepreneurs are born. Yeah. But every chiropractor really is, man, because entrepreneurs see things, they see problems, they challenge the status quo. And that's really what you did. Obviously you're intellectually very bright, which is, if people notice, but it was a principle that drives you, right? So to have that could go very far left, but also, you're very spiritual, very principled. And, when people are listening, it's like, holy crap, man, like I feel lazy, I'm just getting my practice going or whatever. Yeah. But what was that thing, what does that, okay, here's a real direct question. What's it feel like to be you? Like what's that drive, that purpose and that heartfelt inspiration that makes you want to go way beyond not only just your comfort zone, but challenge the status quo and create things?
I think it all comes down to your philosophy, your view of reality, right? And, I am somebody who is a lover of life, and I recognize how temporary our time is here on Earth. And I have a sense of awe and wonder about creation in general. And you're right, I live a pretty intellectual life, and it's something that stimulates me, so I'm constantly thinking. But I definitely have a left and a right brain. I definitely have some left brain attributes. I have a lot of right brain attributes. But ultimately, what drives me, I think it's just a sense that my core value personally is significance. So I can't do things that are insignificant because I get bored almost instantly. So I have to always think of big things to go after, and that's a virtue and a vice, because sometimes you're pushing in all your chips, going after things, and and you're getting yourself into stuff that you say, wow, this is a lot harder than I thought. It's a lot longer than I thought, and that's what entrepreneurs do, right? I mean, so you said something 100% accurate, is that if you're a chiropractor, owning your own business, you are an entrepreneur.
Right.
You have to have some degree of that bug, because it's most people cannot stomach being in their own business and all of that entails, because there's a lot of attributes of business. But to me, business is an art form. It's more right brain than left brain. It's something that you fall in love with. It's people look at a cold, hard business. I think it's this big, beautiful painting. It's like you start with a blank canvas. You have all the colors of the world, and you can paint it whatever color you want. Your business, but you have to love it. You have to fall in love with it. I do this whole segment called a presentation I've done at Total Solution. I've done it for my philosophy formula postgrad. It's called Love the Business. I say, when you love the business, because people, what do chiropractors say? I love my patients. I love chiropractic. I just hate business, right? Yep. Well, how can you hate what makes what you love possible? Because if there's no business, there's no patients. No business, no chiropractic. So I always talk about in philosophy the power of premise. We all operate from a set of premises, whether we know it or not. And the more you can identify your premises and then course correct the ones or delete the ones that aren't serving you and replace them with a more empowering premise, things can change. Because if you walk around all day saying, I love the patients, but I hate the business, what do you think's going to happen? It's a horrible contradiction to live in. It's going to be very destructive. But if you can wake up in the morning and say, I love the business. And I love the business because it makes what I love possible. It makes my patients possible, makes chiropractic possible, makes my livelihood possible, makes everything possible. And when you start loving the business, then suddenly when it comes time to do the things in business that maybe you don't feel fully equipped to do or don't feel fully inclined to do, you're still going to get it done. And loving the business also means if you're not the right person to do certain things in the business, you hire somebody who is. That's what it means to be a business leader. You're not supposed to be able to do everything great. You might have to in the beginning, but you're not supposed to do everything great. So I think, it's really an issue of, for what drives me is significance. And, it's funny because I feel like I am underperforming, still. I was sitting with somebody who was a fairly prominent person in the profession who was, saying, I finally, in the past couple of years, just like, I had this whole thing, like I always needed to do more. And I finally let go of that and how free I feel now. And I'm enjoying my life more and blah, 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 blah. I said, I can relate that because I always feel that angst myself to a large degree. He was like, you? And I'm like, well, yeah, me. Why not me? And but look at all these things you did. Look how big you did this and how much you did that. I'm like, I guess it's all a matter of our own expectations.
Right.
But my expectations, for a long time have been to do things that are going to be seismic and significant. So I guess I have that hunger for it still, that I don't feel a sense of satisfaction about my career at this point.
Well, that's because, I wouldn't presume to know what you feel, but you have big vision. So, it's like as an entrepreneur and visionary, then you always see the horizon, but the horizon is an illusion. There is no horizon. So you're always reaching for the horizon. You feel like I need to get there, but the journey doesn't stop, right? It's like, well, we're still breathing, so I haven't done it all yet.
I think that's 100% true. And I'm very fortunate in the sense that I do a gratitude prayer every day. I have twice a day, really. I have a great amount of gratitude for my life. I'm completely, I'm fundamentally a happy person. I have, my soulmate that I'm married to. I have, phenomenal children, just the things that are around me that are the blessings, the miracles that, are the things that say, I love today and I enjoy today. And I still also have that paradoxical hunger to go out and do bigger things in the world. But I don't live in lack or I don't live in despair while I go to do those things. And I think that's a big part of having the foundation if you want to grow. There's really a couple ways to do it. Some people do it out of anger. They do it out of spite. They do it. Somebody wronged them and they want to prove them wrong by succeeding. And, there's the old adage about, success is the best revenge. And there's maybe some truth to that. But, what I would prefer is that you showed up at your offices and your businesses full, that you're not going there to get something from somebody, but you're complete and whole, so you have something to give. And I think that that's an important attribute to being a healer. So so as much as I feel that, that hunger to go continue to do more things, I simultaneously am somebody who's living a pretty, I moved out to parts of Utah now. And,
we're envious.
Yeah, it's a dream life. I mean, yeah, it's, hey, kids get home from school. Let's go hit the slopes for a couple hours, and then come back. And, it's just a great life here.
Well, and one thing, sorry, Joe, we're not letting you talk. I don't know.
Oh, no, it's fine. I'm just letting
to participate in this. But one thing that people may or may not know about you, Patrick, but you're the visionary, and as an entrepreneur, that you delegate all the tasks. Like when people say they don't like the business, that's because you're doing stuff that's not any fun.
Right.
But, you have the team that the visionary assigns the tasks. And that way you're always in that creative mode. So that way, especially if you're a hands-on chiropractor, man, you have to be a healer, and you can't be in that healing mode, channeling energy, like what you were talking about earlier, Patrick. When you're sitting there doing a bunch of tasks, get a freaking office manager.
Yep.
Have them take all your stuff, delegate it all out, so that you can be in love. And that channel that you're talking about, that energy you're talking about, is go to your office when you're already filled with love, have your team do the same thing and contribute to the lives of your patients without doing a bunch of small tasks that are irritating.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I think that's 100% true. And listen, you might be somebody saying, but wait a minute, I just started, and we get it. We all go through that, that phase of business that you're doing more than maybe you want to, or you're kind of spread a little bit thin. But I'm an advocate of management by objectives, saying, okay, here's where we are today, but here's the objectives we have for this year. Here's the objectives we have for this quarter. And you know what they are, and you get up every day and you look at them as a part of your morning ritual, so you're always driving toward them. And one of your objectives might be to increase your leverage, and leverage is defined as getting things done through other people. So, and I will tell you that, especially in my younger business years, I was always feeling a little bit like scarce when I wanted to hire somebody, saying, geez, if I spend that much money, is that going to really kind of like put a little tension on our finances? And then every single time it was always like, oh, that's the step to the next level, because I'm the motive force. If I'm the visionary and I'm the CEO of the business, and the more free I'm set, the more fuel comes into this business and this practice, if it's your practice. So, I have an adage that says, employees should only make you money. They should never cost you money. Employees should make you money, never cost you money. If you have employees costing you money, get rid of them. They're wrong employees. They should only make you money.
Yep.
Yeah, Dan Sullivan, who's a coach, one of the top coaches for entrepreneurs, he's got a statement that if I wake up and I'm thinking about you and I'm not sleeping next to you, then our relationship is going to change.
Yeah.
That's a good one. There's another one I heard. It said, the definition of eternity is,
yeah, right.
Yeah, the time between you're thinking about firing somebody and the time you actually do.
Yeah, right. Especially if you're not sleeping together, then then something's got to change today.
Yeah, and if you are sleeping together, fire them before you sleep with them. Okay, just a word of advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. That's funny. So, man, you've created so much. I mean, there's business finishing school. I mean, I'm in that with you. UAC is another whole group. You got your whole philosophy thing. Can you want to just tell a few words about that? Because all those are worthwhile for the profession to invest in. All of them, actually.
Thank you. So, so Philosophy Formula, this is a passion project for sure, where I developed, philosophy is probably one of the most, how can I put it, controversial terms in chiropractic. Are you a philosophy-based chiropractor? Are you a scientifically based chiropractor? And these people who are saying such things are, I don't know how to say it any different, are such idiots. They don't understand the words or the implications or how these things relate to each other. But what I could tell you, everybody has a philosophy. You're watching this right now. You have a philosophy. You have no choice about that. The only question is whether you defined it or not. And the kicker is that philosophy is the most practical tool a human being can hope to embrace in an effort to create more success. It is a success tool. It's not some abstract stuff that's fluffy and maybe feels good and flows over you but doesn't have any practical application. Your philosophy is determining your level of success right now, good or bad. So with that, I ended up, one of the projects I wanted to work on was to get deeper into it. I feel like the profession really lost context of philosophy. And I'm not just talking about chiropractic philosophy. I'm talking about philosophy, the branches of philosophy, and then you apply them to chiropractic. So we created this course, which is a 12-week course. And I have to tell you, it's been one of the most gratifying things I've ever done, only because the impact has been so spectacular. Because I work directly with the group, meaning we have these 12 weeks, 12 modules of video modules that people watch each week on a different part of philosophy, and like philosophy in new patients, philosophy in marketing, philosophy in patient communication and education. But like you have philosophies about all these things. The question is, do you know it? Well, you have to start with some of the foundational stuff. I even start with how to just get your day set up and how to organize yourself so you can put the program in. Because one of the things I wasn't going to let happen, which happens all the time, is chiropractors sign up for stuff, but they don't do it. And why? Because they want the result, but they don't have the space in their life to do the work to get the result. So it's a matter of saying, I know it's like defragging a hard drive. I know quickly how to open up space in your life. So I don't even get into the core material. The first week is, let's get your routine set up and let's open up some space. And the second week is, I'm not going to let you drag your shit all over the place for the next 12 weeks with you too, because I'm tired of that, where people have all the stuff they hold on to, and as a result of holding on, they can't move. So the second part of it is let go to rise, as we call it. It's how to let go of stuff so that you can move to the next level of your life. And then we're ready to get into the actual philosophy formula and move forward. So I give algorithms for thinking and processing things. And I'm not telling you what your philosophy should be. It's just saying, here's a matrix, here's an algorithm for how to structure your thinking and apply it to the most critical parts of your practice so that you can grow and transform and have a better experience. So that's what that course does. But what I do, which is an interesting tweak on it, is that during the course, the 12 weeks of it, I have what I call open office hours with all the people who are in the course, where 3 different 1-hour slots a week, you come to a forum like this, like a video forum, and you ask me anything. And so about 50% of the questions have to do with whatever the module was that week, and about 50% are about, anything. And that they want to ask, I really open it up that way. So it's been really bonding for me. It's been a great experience. And we are actually getting ready to launch our next one, come up here on February 23rd. What we do is we release 3 videos. One is the 5 P's to Prosperity, which is how you get from philosophy to prosperity, and there's a direct march to that. The second one is philosophy and money, because as you probably know, I'm sure both you guys know, chiropractors have some serious contradictions when it comes to money. And and I understand you're in a humanitarian business. How do you reconcile profit with being a humanitarian? And the answer is, if you don't, you're in for a really shitty time. And then I also talk about philosophy and new patients. So we put these 3 videos together. You can get a sense of how we approach things. At that point, if you love the videos, you like what you saw, there's no charge for those. Then you can register and join the course, which we're starting. I think the next class goes in March. And then if the videos weren't turning you on completely, then it's no obligation. It's my gift to you. So that's what's coming up. It's easy to get to it. Philosophyformula.com. You can just go there. You can put in your first name and email, and they'll send you the first video right away. And you can start.
Cool, right on.
Yeah,
that's great.
Great project. You also have, I'm part of your UAC group. It's a great group of chiropractors. It's been closed off. You kind of wanted to keep it, kind of private. And then when you experience it, you realize, man, people come out of there and you're different after the weekend. And it's like being in a family. And really, you've recently decided to spread that unity out into more and open up the doors in that. So why don't you talk a little bit about that, what your intention is?
Yeah, so Ultimate Achievers Club, which, as you said, you're a star member of, and thank you. I think you might be our greatest referrer, so thank you for that. But it has been an off-the-radar group of the highest performing chiropractors in the world. And what happened, it kind of got started. First of all, no matter who you are right now, if you're success-minded, you need to be in a mastermind, at least one. I'm in a few. But you need to be in a mastermind where you're getting stimulated, you're interacting with other people, success-minded people, et cetera. The principle of the mastermind dates all the way back, probably even before, but the guy who really popularized it was Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. So he really kind of laid out the purpose and the power of getting together with other people and sharing ideas. So I had my higher performing clients at UAC 7 or 8 years ago. I was at CLA 7 or 8 years ago, came to me and said, listen, love your programs, everything you do, but they're necessarily calibrated to kind of the average chiropractor. We're in $1 million practices, or we're doing bigger numbers. We would like, we know you start a couple of multi-million-dollar companies. You've got access to all these cool people out there in the world. How can we get higher level stuff? So I said, it'd be interesting. Let's throw an experiment together. And we took 15 offices, we put them in a room, and I facilitated the mastermind the first weekend, and it was very magical. So over time, we wanted to make sure that we kept the purity of the group. It's the right kind of people in the room. And we kept it off the radar, really didn't talk about it at all. The only way in was with somebody in the group would invite you in, and then I would talk to each person to curate the room. And then, the people who I thought would be a good fit, we sent out an invitation, invited them into the group. And it's been spectacular. They really are some, I think, the finest chiropractors on the planet. So what happened this past year, I started to realize that many of the people that came to the group that were really great, it was happenstance. I happened to be in the location where they were at the same time, happened to meet them, and then say, hey, you know, I think you'd be a good fit for this. And I realized there's so many more people out there that probably would actually enhance the group, you know, that we're just not talking to. So I haven't changed the criteria for becoming a member of the UAC, but what I've done is I've now at least let the word out that this group exists. And literally in the past 3 or 4 months, we've had some fantastic people who've joined the group that wouldn't have otherwise. But there again, I probably, you know, it's about half and half. I think about half the people who fill out an application say they'd like to be considered. About half of them, I think, really qualify and they're right for the group, and half of them don't. It doesn't mean they're bad or wrong. They're just not the right cultural fit for what this group is. So anyway, if you're interested in UAC, and just even exploring what it's all about and getting a sense of it, you can go to UAC, which stands for Ultimate Achievers Club, UACchiro.com. But the thing I want to make clear is that I still curate every single person who comes into this group. So we haven't loosened our criteria. If anything, we might tighten it down a little, quite frankly. But at least we're letting the word out that this group exists so that other people who are looking for a home amongst other successful chiropractors can find one.
Yeah, and I would say if you're out there and this is something you're considering, I mean, we haven't gone through, you know, the basic requirements, but I would say if you feel like you're successful, you feel confident in your practice, you feel like, yeah, you're making an impact, and you really want to go to the next level and rub elbows with people that are out there, not just changing their communities, but are very creative in ideas and want to really advance the profession. Like if you feel like you're in that position, the probability that you're going to fit into this group is actually fairly good, I would say, don't you think?
It's pretty high. It's kind of multifactorial. It's not like there's just one thing that decides, you know, as far as if you come in or not, and you know, and your numbers. But you said it exactly right. You know, if you're a practice that's successful, you're on a good trajectory. Many of the people in the group now, you know, they're looking to open up, you know, additional practices. You know, some are on, you know, their 10th, 11th practice. We got one guy in there who's got a franchise of 35 practices. And then we have a lot of people that are, you know, just one solid practice. So there's you know, there's many flavors, but you do need to be a chiropractor that's vitalistically oriented. You know, if you're a chiropractor that's kind of like wishing that you could do drugs or surgery or something like that in practice, you're not a right fit for this group. I'm not going to judge you, but you're just not the right fit for this group. So these are principal chiropractors, but some are, you know, spinal correction only. Some will do full lifestyle stuff, get into nutrition and exercise and other things and everything in between. So they're varying flavors, and a lot of great personalities in the group. I laugh when I say that because I just imagine like some people in the group who just make you laugh a lot. So there's great personalities in the group. There's a diversity of practice styles, but they are all success-oriented, principled chiropractors that are there.
Yeah, it's a very positive experience. There's once you're sort of in the family, so to speak, like once you're in there, you're totally accepted, you're totally loved, and people make fun of you. And, you know, it's just very lighthearted, and it's tons of fun. It really is.
It is a family. You have it exactly right. It is a family. It's tons of, we travel around together. We'll go to Napa again this May. Next year, we're looking at doing a mission, going to the Galapagos Islands together, and then doing a mission trip in the Amazon. So we'll do some fun and exotic things too. You know, we don't just sit in the classroom all the time.
Yeah, right. Cool. So, hey, those are all the things that are going on now. What's your vision as we progress into the future, man? What do you see for yourself, for the profession?
I'm looking, I'll tell you, I'm looking for a breakthrough in this profession. And I'm especially, you know, I was at a dinner the other night with some extremely successful people from diverse fields. And it's interesting sometimes, you know, you want to get defensive, and I had to really kind of like, you know, tone myself back and to listen to what they're saying and how confused they are about chiropractic and chiropractors, and how it seems like it's all over the place. And, you know, and these are people that, you know, have some context for what we do. And like I said, they're successful in other fields. And I really am looking for a few things. Number one, I want to see a complete transformation or an upgrade, a solidification of the brand called chiropractic. I think our brand equity is suffering. I think it's confused. And that we have to do something and I have some ideas about what that might be, but we have to do some things to just improve that brand. And I think it has over time. And, you know, the movie on Doctors coming out and talks about the AMA's conspiracy to contain and eliminate chiropractic and destroy its brand, and it was very effective. It's still lingering, decades later. So I think that had an impact, and I think that we have to just leverage, the internet, social media, and other forms of media in a way that start to upgrade that brand. Chiropractic can take you to amazing places. The past year and a half, my wife and I spent a lot of time touring around with the band Fleetwood Mac on their last tour across the U.S. and over in Europe. And why? And I'll never forget, because this is one of my favorite bands of all time. I ended up getting a call saying, hey, they're looking for somebody who want to go take care of them. Then they invited me to do a whole tour. I said maybe 20 years ago, but not right now. And I ended up becoming good friends with people in the band. But one of the interesting things that I recognize, and I want all of you to hear this, when I was backstage and I'm sitting there almost like, I've had a very charmed life. I've had a great life, but I'm sitting here saying, here I am hanging out with Fleetwood Mac, having this experience, and then being enormously grateful, because I got these guys are 70 years old, 65 to 70 years old, and they're still out there rocking, but they need some help.
Yeah.
And, I got to tell you, and then being out front. Then when we were in London, I brought my kids, so my kids' first concert, and they don't understand. They're backstage having dinner with the band. They don't know that this isn't what concerts are like for most people.
Right.
But the realization I had the second night when I was backstage at Madison Square Garden, and I just said to myself, if I was anything other than a chiropractor, I would not be here right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's chiropractic that put me there, chiropractic that put me in the position to be able to do what I'm doing and have this experience and have this impact on these people, these world-class performers, so that they can go out and do it, their purpose in the world on a bigger level. So that's what chiropractic is, and that's what people should understand. Most rock and roll bands travel with a chiropractor. Most professional sports teams have chiropractors on staff. Why? Because of what we do has such profound and unique impact. So we have to get better at having a massive cultural understanding to the virtues of chiropractic, but it becomes difficult because of the identity wars within chiropractic itself, and that is a byproduct of its contradictory philosophies that people hold around it. So there's I believe that we can create a clear identity. I think that there's technology like cloud-based neural networks that we can start to get people in the field to get data together, to organize, I think, our philosophy in a more profound way that people will bond with. So I'm seeing a future where there'll be better technology that can leverage or can create a better brand awareness of what chiropractic is in the right way out into the marketplace. And when that happens, there's not going to be nearly enough chiropractors to take care of the demand that's going to be created for them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I have to agree with you. And I think the thing is, what burns inside of us is the desire to see that happen in our lifetime. And I think
that's the selfish part of me. Like, I'm not content to say, we'll pass the torch and somewhere down the road they'll get it. Then I'm selfish. I want to see it.
Right. Like, I'm trying not to use profanity, but I can't help myself. You know what? Fuck that, man. We didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want to see it in my lifetime. I don't care if you think that's ego-based. We busted our ass. And I think that's the thing, as we get older, I'm going to be 55 this week. And it's like, man, you feel that urgency. What's that?
I said, you're well-preserved, too. I had no idea.
Must be all that tequila when I was young. But, yeah, and still a little bit now.
Yeah.
But, it's like, it's almost like when we come full circle to the beginning of the talk, it's like the passion burns greater because we feel a sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, 55, although we're still young, physiologically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that sounds like kind of a big number. And the years, the older you get, the faster the years go. Like all of a sudden 55 is going to be 62. And it's like, man, I got 30 years left that I'm going to be on stage or do whatever. Right. I need to get moving. I think that creates urgency.
It certainly does. And, but it's, I'm trying to remember the poet that talked about it, but it's hypercritical that, the journey stays as important as the destination. And then, then it's done right. But you're right. I'm with you. I want to see it happen, while our eyes are still open. And I believe it will. I really do. What's at our disposal now to make that happen is sort of unprecedented. And, so I think we're going to see that happen.
That's awesome. Well, hey, you know what? I'm on your side, man.
Yeah.
We stick together.
Indeed.
Yeah. Cool.
And that's the key too. We do have to stick together. That's the whole point.
Unity.
And, we can't proclaim to be a healing profession if we can't heal ourselves.
Absolutely.
So that's something that we just have to, I think we have to heal, and we have to stay strong in our principle, and then we just have to go to market with that message. And I think we're going to do that in unprecedented ways in the coming 5 years.
I agree. So now that we're final thoughts, Joe,
I'm just sitting here, I'm just absorbing everything like the last one. Yeah, no, this is great. It gives us a good glimpse into why passion drives each and every one of us. And if you're listening at home, as a new chiropractor, even, it's the passion that actually of helping people that drives you. The money will always come. And just like in all these businesses that Patrick's had, and, Fred and myself, is, you go out there for the passion that drives you. Money will always come. Mm-hmm. And they said that about chiropractic practice as well too. And every time you think there's a hardship, it turns into a blessing, and I think the same is true with all the new chiropractors listening to this. Just keep striving for passion,
Right. Yeah, which is why you need to be in the UAC, man. Not that you need it on more weekends traveling, but you really need to be in there. So
another
week. Go to UACchiro.com. You're the first one to go after.
All right.
Yeah, seriously.
You will love it in there.
Yeah, you fit pretty well.
I used to like to say to my patients, resistance is futile.
I know.
It's already done, man. Just write the check. Have your assistant write the check. She doesn't even have to tell you.
As long as they're in Park City a lot, that's all. During the winter.
They are actually. So
see.
Definitely be coming to Park City. Not for all of them, but for some of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool. Well, any final thoughts, Patrick?
I think the real final thought is it's time to take a look in the mirror and just decide, is the past and the future going to be the same thing, or are you ready for change? Are you ready to step up your game? What do you see when you look in the mirror? And I can tell you that maybe the bit of wisdom I can impart at this point is that I found that at this stage, that getting to the next level of your life is less about what you need to do and more about what you need to let go of. Mm-hmm. So I'd ask you to take a look at what is holding you back, what do you need to let go of, and get on it. I just know that 2016 could be the best year you've ever had. If anything I'm talking about resonates with you, I'd love nothing more than to work with you and help you get there. But I can tell you that there's resources, between what Fred does, what Joe does, there's so many great resources out there for you. And what are you telling yourself if you don't move toward them? That you're not worthy, that you don't believe in yourself. I mean, what do you say to yourself when you don't take an action that would make your life better, make your practice bigger? So you have to, and that's where you have to let go of scarcity, let go of different things that might be from your past, that, bad things you did, bad things that happened to you. I don't know. We've all done bad things we regret. We've all had bad things happen to us. But you have to decide if that's going to define you. My favorite philosopher, Ayn Rand, said, pain and suffering, or pain and struggle, rather, are so enormously unimportant. And it hit me right between the eyes when I read that quote the first time. Pain and struggle are so enormously unimportant. What you mean? Too many people are, you don't know my pain. You don't know the struggle. Let go of that shit. It doesn't matter. It's unimportant. What matters is achievement. So do what you need to do to achieve.
Well, those are great words of wisdom. And I would say, after this whole thing, I think everybody sees you as a visionary. And, as a chiropractor, you come in, that is a sole purpose. It's not a job. And you have a vision. And from the Jim Collins book, good to great, good is the greatest enemy of great, right?
That's right.
So the problem is we become complacent because we look around at the conditions in our life Yet when you have a vision and you know you're not reaching it, there's that deep dissatisfaction because it comes from your center. It's coming from your spirit. And to me, there's nothing worse than being in a place when you know you can be greater. So like what you say, well, if you let it go, and then sometimes we think, well, what is it that I have to clear? You know, that's almost too much thought. If you're almost focusing on what you need to clear, then you're giving that energy too. At some point, you just got to say, fuck it, man. What am I going to do today? Just do one thing.
That's right.
Wake up and say, what's the most important thing if it's one thing I can do today?
You know, this is like the never-ending ending. But I had a friend of mine who built a great entrepreneur, built a business from 0 to $134 million in sales annually. And this is his practice, what you just said. Every night when he puts his head on the pillow, he basically says, what one thing will I need to accomplish tomorrow so that when I put my head back on this pillow, I'll feel good about the day.
Yep.
And that's what you're saying. It's just, and that's his habit. You know, what's the one thing before he falls asleep? What's the one thing that's got to happen tomorrow? So tomorrow night, when I put my head in the pillow, I'll feel good about it.
Yep.
It's that easy. And if you do that, you know, those little habits can make a huge difference.
They are the difference. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, well, it's been really great having you. I know you're speaking at our June seminar in Denver. I'm really fired up about that.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it'll be great. Thanks for playing with us here. And we'll see you around town, man.
Yep. Yeah, man, we will.
We'll cross several times.
Absolutely.
This year.
Thanks, man. Well, you're doing great things in the world. I appreciate you both. And thanks for having me on.
Cool. Right on. Hang on after this.